Good.
So just to give context to people who are joining on like YouTube thingy, uh, so Ankit reached out to me with an issue about full width buttons, and the default of buttons I think is just width auto, so they take as much space as they need to. But a lot of times you want them to take the entire space, as you pointed out, especially on mobile. So full width could be one of the props. We have a version of this in the Code Sandbox repo. So the Code Sandbox repo uses like a forked version of React UI because I was building it in both places at the same time. And over there we call it block. And the thinking behind that was it's display block, so it's full width. I don't know. Just what made sense at the time. So, but I think full width is definitely a nicer prop for this. So,
Yeah, most mobile section is always required.
uh-huh, yeah. So, what we also have is Ankit's screen. So this screen, now that you're seeing, is Ankit's screen, and we're going to try to pair on this. Cool. Okay, why do I have two faces here? This is going to be very weird. Kind of figure it out eventually. I'm trying to figure out how do I hide my face. Oh, I found it. Okay, sorry. Yeah, now there's only one of me. And your screen is streaming. Cool. We're perfectly set up. Let's start.
Okay, so mm, is there some lag in my screen? Like I can't move my cursor and so.
Um, oh, 1 second. So on the top in tuple, you have I think there's a thing about like who has screen control. And
Okay.
I have pointer control, so I can't touch your cursor. Are you able to type?
Yeah, I can
Okay,
type it, but
cool.
the cursor pointer is with you.
Oh, the cursor is stuck.
Yeah.
Can I have? How about
You can
now?
move it. Yeah, it's fine now.
Okay, perfect. Fine. So,
Okay, so
let's talk about the API first, maybe, on how the eventual thing should look like.
yeah, okay, I will start the servers first. CD business box start. So our docs are running and React UI will also start with the web.
Nice. It's gonna be tricky to see like how much does the speed work, because we're running too many things at the same time. So like the
Yeah,
server is
right.
like it might lag in places we don't know.
The roll up thing in this one is fine, but the webpack takes a little bit time. I have noticed that. This
Interesting.
is not this much time as usual, but maybe like okay. So,
Yeah, I think like the screen sharing is taking up most of your CPU now.
okay.
Uh,
So yeah, that is over there. So if we go to the components over here, and we'll see like the button component. Yeah, so these are the examples we have. Like we have the variants, the size things we have, but the thing which we are missing is the full width component for the buttons. At least for the buttons, which is like make more sense.
uh-huh.
And similar to buttons, we also require for some other things like the input fields or the card field or maybe sometimes with a like spinner also like take the full screen of the spinner also. So there
Yeah.
are a couple of things which may require this full width prop. I thought of like earlier just the button one, but as you suggested, like it will be required for the others also. So that is the thing.
What's interesting is, can you check what is the input's default behavior? Like, are the inputs full width by default? Because it would be cool if like there is a default and then full width is the override, or like maybe they're always full width and inline is the override.
I'll, I'll say like it should be like whatever the text is coming to the button, it should be coming as it is.
Uh
And if
huh.
you require full width, then it should take the full width.
Cool.
Like
Let's make
it's a,
that the standard.
Boolean prop, like
Uh-huh.
rather to us.
Sure.
That
All
should
right.
be
Cool.
right. So if you go to the code towards like how the component is implemented right now, yeah,
What do you think about the
yeah,
folder structure? Like you've been like going through the repo before we got on this
yeah.
call, right? So were you able to like figure your way around?
Yeah, like it's all totally fine for me right now. I'm like pretty much familiar with all it right now.
Okay, perfect.
So like this finds I find it very cool also like it's components over here, then primitives is separated, like the basic elements which we needed, the interpolate and element which is there. And yeah, it's fine.
Cool.
I think one more thing that we may require for the other folder is like icons. If we are providing the icons also some along with the API, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah, right now there
this,
are no icons.
yeah. So the the basic styles are being added over here, like
Hmm.
which contains the not just about the styling how it looks, the
Right,
actual the ratio of button like the margin, not the margin, the weight, the display, how the text will be aligned to it, all those things, and the styling of it, like how it looks, the colors and all will be defined in our theme section, which is like the base component or the dark or light themes over here. If we go off any of the themes over here, then yeah, the button over here, the font sizes and the color combinations and the variants also over here.
right. Yeah, so the thinking around this was that there, like, you should be able to customize the button as much as possible, and that should live in the theme. But then there are things that you'd always want to do. So my thing was like when you import a button, it shouldn't look like an HTML primitive. It should basically have enough styles to be
Basic stuff
plain.
here,
Right, exactly, yeah.
right?
And then you can add your own aesthetics to it.
Yeah, right. And similarly, we have the component over here. So the button component, yeah. So from here we are like defining our props, like which other props are being valid for a particular component, whether it says button or any other component.
Hmm.
So which is basically a like the fork of the element component, which is a like the basic element in our React UI, and we are like, targeting is as a button element, which is for the HTML semantics.
Right.
Otherwise, like it can be any element, but for semantics, we are targeting over here as a button, and the component we are naming over here, like because we are using only the one primitive over here as an element, so that's why we need to separate it in our for debugging purposes and all. So we are giving a name as a button over here. That is the thing. Then, so here that we will be like providing an extra prop like full width, which will be like by default it can be a false one,
Hmm.
and like yeah, here also we can provide like one of the type is like the boolean. That is the thing, and so this prop can be applied to multiple components also. So like I'm not sure like whether this should be defined in our element over here
Right.
or it should be added to each of the components who are uh, applying this full width prop.
I have a
So
feeling that there are only few elements. Like this is something that I'm still undecided on, so you can help me decide. Where there are things that you want both inline and full width based on the context. So like, as you said, buttons are one, input elements are one. So like select and text area, all of them. But then the moment
Yeah,
you go to like a higher level, or actually it depends.
yeah,
So if you talk about avatar, you would never want a full width avatar. And if
yeah.
you go to higher level components like a menu or a stack, you don't expect them to respect full width layouts, right? So it feels like this is relevant only for the
Only
category of
for,
form elements, which is like in all kinds of inputs and buttons.
yeah, right. And even if like somebody is extending their own custom components over there, also
Hmm.
it might not be required.
Right. Yeah. So I'd say let's bake it into the component, and then like my strategy with React UI has been, I when I don't know a decision, I make one, and then because I'm trying to do things with React UI, I see where it starts breaking or where I wish I already had the other prop, right? Because
Okay,
adding it is easier, but taking it out from the common API is way harder.
okay. So currently the main component which is like defining its height and width is like usually we take the size as a prop
Mm.
and then divide it into the height and width in like most of the components over here. So in button component we are like just taking it the height as a like
Yeah,
size over here and ignoring the width because it is uh, taking the like the text width as it is. So here this thing we need to change over here and which we'll need to make it as a split this size into uh, like the width as a like 100% if the full width is provided separately and height will be like as it is like which is provided by the size as a like small medium or large or which is defined in our theme tokens.
right. Yeah, that makes sense.
So let's say like if we are getting a full width prop over here and then over here if full width is present in that case we need to define our uh, width property as a 100%,
Hmm.
right? So let's define width equals to oh we just don't need it. Width equals to it's a little slow. Yeah. So then over here we just need to pass this prop. If we need to pass this prop only if the full width is present, so we just don't want to over there, or we can uh, pass it as an auto also. Like if it is not there, like if we just want to pass it as always. So like this could be the let's
Yeah, I think I like the second approach where we always pass it, and the else case is essentially the auto. Yeah,
auto. Yeah, I think this
nice.
is fine then. We are assigning it over here. Um,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, looks good.
it's declared, but maybe like the VS Code thing is slow. It's still showing it's not used.
Oh yeah, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, updated. Yeah, I think this should be working, and let's try this out. If
Hmm.
we go to our docs, mm, components.
Oh no, I think it's
Mm,
inside pages/components.
oh yeah, sorry.
The
Not component.
doc folder structure is very badly thought.
Yeah, this components is regarding the docs actually, and is the pages
Yeah, like
actually.
it's not
So,
intuitive at all. Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
So
yeah, this is the doc.
here, yeah. So let's see here is we have done then examples, variants. We can add one more example over here as a like full width
Hmm.
and then mm, so section examples, this variants. This another section. This is the example. We can just copy this one over here and change it to the full width. Not sure about the names and all. Okay. Logins. Only one button is good enough over here. So let's full width.
I think your W was capital in the component.
Sorry.
Um, okay, so two things. The first one is like the in full width. I think the W was capitalized in the component. So then this would be the same. And the other is like your section seems unhappy for some reason.
Yeah. Okay.
Closing that. This is close. This is another section. Oh, I think it's been between the example.
Just a second. Let me just try it out again. Examples. No. Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I like the next line after like when there is a block
hmm
over some like when we have multiple groups over there, then just it's separated by. Okay.
Yeah, that makes
So
a lot of
save
sense.
it. Yeah.
Nice.
It's working.
And can you resize the window and
Ah,
it should move around? Yes, it already did.
mm,
Perfect. It always respects the space. What would be an
okay.
interesting test if it's like if the text is long but there's not enough space to
Yeah.
put the text? What happens then?
Okay. Let's try it out. Okay, let's go. This is text. Okay, let's see. I- Okay, you can just use this.
It shrinks, it shrinks, it shrinks.
Okay,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
so
Interesting. Um, I have a I have a certain. Okay, can you remove full width? Because what happens if you don't have full width? I'm sure it breaks
sure.
even then. Yeah, so it breaks either way. Uh, Interesting. I think a good fix for this would be to wrap it
No,
in the text component.
no, it's not
Um,
removed. Right? Okay, yeah, but the text is taking long space, so that's why
yeah,
the large button is
yeah.
large.
So if you go to the text component,
Yeah. Yeah, over there, I think I have seen the, if you give the max width, then it will convert it to the ellipse.
yeah, yeah. I think we should copy
We'll
that
use the
here as
put it
well.
over here, give the next width over here, then it will work.
So the interesting part is like when you have a full width, you kind of assume that the max width is already 100%, right? So then
Yeah,
we don't have to ask, we can apply it, I guess. So if you always have a text, so there are two ways. If you always have a text inside the button, which has a max width of 100%, then this always works. It does create like an extra span inside the button, which can be weird. Or what we can do is we can copy the styles that give it the ellipses into the button and like always have it.
right. So, okay, this is dots. Yeah, yeah. That depends on like next width. If it is there, then we are giving
Yeah.
overflow as hidden and then text overflow.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think we can just apply this inside the button default styles with
So
the whole block.
we didn't know like when the it is going overflow the actual width, right? We need to detect the like how much width the characters are taking.
No, so the funny part is when you have this one, which is white space no wrap, it would never try to overflow. And because in a button, you don't usually expect it to be like a multi-line button. I think
Yeah.
I think it's acceptable if you always have the styles on a button.
Okay.
Like text, you still have to figure out if it's max width or not. A button should just always have this. That's at least what I think.
Okay. So the button styles. This can be like in the like normal button style also because it will be always required.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Right.
Let's see. Oh no. Okay. This I know why that does it work with full width? Because there are two styles that are fighting with each other here. Hmm.
Mm,
Nope. Uh,
no.
okay, so if you go back to button styles,
Yeah.
there is something I recently added. Uh, it- yeah, so you see there's a min width which says fit content.
Uh, does this
This,
prop solve the browsers? I guess Firefox is not supported. I'm not sure right now,
um,
but this prop sometimes back and it was not fully supported that time. Maybe
oh,
like long back.
oh no, so yeah, this is supported now for sure. But the interesting thing is we have a min width which keeps going on.
Okay.
But even if you
Okay.
have, like, without a max width, this would just keep growing, I guess,
Yeah.
even beyond your Windows size. So even though you might put a full width, which should take 100%, this thing would possibly override it because if you say min width should be more if there is more content.
Okay.
So I added
So
this without thinking about like what do we also need a max width?
we'll just try once.
Yeah.
Commenting this and I will remove the full width also. It's refreshing.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's more.
Button width reduces that, at least that didn't expand it to the like to the end, right? At least
Right.
uh, the text is not like it doesn't added that ellipse over there.
Hmm. Yeah, that's. I'm curious about that.
Added some extra dots. I shouldn't have added text.
That's good. I think this is my fault. We're trying to solve two problems at the same time. One is of adding full width, and the other is the text ellipses. And I feel those two problems kind of fight with each other. Um, the fit content is kind of like if you look at the variance example, you'll see that the text it tries to fit in inside the container, so it doesn't maintain its shape. So I think we should keep the fit content, uh, and then should like later try to figure out how do we get fit content and ellipses both to work at the same time. I feel like there's a
And
conflict.
like we need to like get the actual positioning, like how much space it is taking while rendering. Is that will be
Um,
required, but too much complication.
I mean, I hope we don't have to like measure it ourselves, and like my guess is a perfect combination of min width and max width would do it, but that's my guess. With CSS, like I'm never sure because I'm not very good at it, and yeah, I have to like learn on the fly to figure out if that's what I want.
Yeah, the CSS like sometimes it's tricky.
Yeah, like the syntax is so long. I just haven't spent enough time trying to learn as much as I should.
It happens. Okay. Uh,
This is the text.
um,
So I guess for now we should do fit content with full width. So we keep this and we remove the ellipsis code because this doesn't work yet. Yep. So this gives you full width as long as the text fits within the width, which honestly is
yeah,
pretty reasonable.
yeah, right.
Sweet.
I'm just thinking like if
Mhm.
wait over there or not. I'm just thinking about like any scenarios where we can convert this, or we'll think that as a like separate issue.
Yeah, I think I want to like tackle it as a separate issue
Yeah.
because I have a feeling like there are other places where the same thing happens and I haven't done that yet either.
Okay.
Cool, looks good. So if you go to the button, there is one thing that I noticed, which is the full width. We need to make sure like the capitalization is consistent. So it's full width in the prop, it's full width in users, but not in default. Oh,
Yeah.
and you also need that. Nice.
So,
Nice. And yeah, you'll also want to change it in the default props.
um, we don't actually require over here, right? Like by default, it will be if it is not passed, it will be like
Oh yeah.
undefined. Of course. So I
Yeah.
don't think so. It is over here.
Yeah, that would work. Sweet. Cool. Do you want to create a pull request? Let's watch
Mm,
this.
I'm just remove this bracket, the syntax which you usually follow over here.
Oh, that's just like code aesthetics, which is like fine if you care about it, but if you don't, that's also fine. Because like,
I saw it, so like, this is fine. Also, one thing over here,
yeah,
I think, does it like really require to merge along with the button and size over here, because this size will all automatically will be passed to the from our element prop also, and I think it is not required over here, the height which we are passing,
Interesting. So
because
what happened?
it,
Sorry,
because
continue.
it will automatically will be passed as a height on the element also.
Yeah, so the size prop translates to width and height both.
Yeah.
But in the case of button, we only want it to affect height. So it's kind of like we're cheating the size prop. That's why
Okay.
I
Like
take it
we
out.
are using like photo over here, so in that case, it won't be overriding that one.
Um,
If it is already available, then it is not required.
Interesting. So I guess the order would become important because like all of these get merged into the same CSS object. And
Yeah.
if the size comes later, then it will override height
Uh,
and width both.
yes. If we go to our primitives
Yeah.
and
Yeah, this is a good place
yeah,
to check.
here it is like if the width is available, it will just take the width only. It doesn't
Very
take the
nice.
size over.
Okay.
So in
Okay.
that, it is not required.
Yeah, this is perfect then. If size, I think, yeah, okay. That's pretty cool. I didn't know I thought about that already.
Yeah.
Nice. Then yeah, you can actually remove it as well.
All right.
It'll take width is, so we only need to pass the width. Width.
And size we need to remove
Yeah.
from here. In that case, it will go with the props itself.
Yeah.
Uh,
Cool. Looks perfect.
Let's check it out once. We will change the text
Yeah.
also. Here.
Yeah, that's not a good example for the docs.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what should be the name?
Login?
Full width. Login only.
Yeah.
So let's open up this time.
Sure.
Okay.
And you gotta give
And
a full width prop.
variant, full width variant.
Oh no, don't call it variant because like the variant also like can be confused with the primary secondary. I
Right.
think full width is perfect.
Okay.
Um, so two things here. First, like you will want to attach the prop
Uh,
full width, and
so
then yeah, clean up the code here. Perfect. This should also be a sign up. Yep. Sign up. Full width, sign up. Perfect. This is like one of the weird things I've done because I wanted full control over the examples. That I copy paste the code above, and sometimes it doesn't even match. Just to like make the
yeah, I
example
do
easier to follow.
like use this one style, this one the style guidist or the storybook also, like but very full as a like full docs with this React UI itself. Like any reason behind that, like, or
Yeah. So
you
I
want
want
like
to control.
want to like show an example of how it can be made full pages also. If
Yeah.
you know
So
that.
especially with the customization docs, you'll notice that the text in the doc and the example don't really match up. Because this lives inside the doc, I have to do some weird trick to make it work. But I don't want to show that trick in the code. I want to show like what's the example that you can copy paste into your app.
Okay.
So it was mostly like having control over both of those things independently.
Okay.
But it did result in like a lot more work than just using React Live, which would do this.
Okay. All right.
Cool.
So
I see another change, which is I think you did this earlier, but then when you refactored, it went away, which is the text which is for the variant. That should come before the full width example. The paragraph after this.
This paragraph?
Yeah, I think this paragraph is for the variant example.
Yeah, okay, okay.
I'll pull it up.
Mm, yeah,
Yep, perfect.
okay, good.
Nice.
Mm,
Cool. Push it. Let's merge this.
let's see the changes. Mm, yeah,
Yep,
it's fine
looks
for
good.
me. Okay, good. Okay, I'll do it from here on better. Actually, I'm in master branch. I have not created any feature branch over here.
That's okay. Um, this is your clone of the repository,
Yeah,
right? So then it's
fine for
fine.
me.
Yep. Oh, you'll have to change those, right? Um,
No, I had it. Oh, okay. I had actually two clones. Okay, I made some mistake. So I had like one was like your clone and one I
yeah,
created. I just moved into
got it.
your just like before the call. I thought
Yeah,
like I'll just do this.
that's okay. We can change the origin in this one then.
Yeah, sure. Mm, just-
Because that's the same thing that happens to me. Like you type GitHub and it like defaults to a repo, and then you have to like stop it, change it.
okay, not addition. Okay. Push. Oh, okay. I have taken a pull from you and I have not pushed it over there. Okay. Okay.
Oh, it seems like you have changes on master in that repository, like your clone.
Okay. We have. Okay. Let's do one thing.
Yeah,
I'll clone it once again. Git
sure.
clone and just instantly copy the pages over there. That's a better way.
That's good. I'm gonna, in the meantime, try. I forgot that there's a chat section,
Oh, okay.
right? So now my screen is getting streamed.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I'll just do in the meantime.
Kuldeep was trying to help us in the chat, guys. What's the bug there?
Oh,
Sorry for not watching. Now I have the chat open. Um,
I need to update the master branch also, which I have not updated. Already launched. Okay.
So I feel like I've put you into like performance pressure, like do it now. Right. It's totally cool if you want to do it like at your own time, and then we can merge it. Right. Like the code looks perfect, so we already know that we've got it working, and then we can create a pull request and merge it. That's cool. Uh, I'm gonna stop the stream the moment I can find it. There we go. Yeah, I'm gonna stop the stream here.
Okay.